So this is, I don't know, part 2, 3, whatever, on working with 2 colors. So I'm going to show you how to introduce the new color and also how to carry up the yarn you're not working with without having to cut it. So here's our new color. I have gotten myself, I've joined, done my slip stitches, and I'm in position to add the new color. To do that, I go into the chain 3 space. I'm working with chain 3s on this, and I bring over the yarn that we're no longer going to be working with, but we don't want to cut, and I bring the new yarn, the white, and I'm just making a loop, and I'm pulling it up and through that loop. Okay, then I'm going to take the tail and put it over the chain 3. This is my working yarn for that goes to the ball. Get some out. There we go. And I'm going to do my chain 2 and 3. And I'm going to pull that down a bit so it looks the right size. Okay, now I am going to simply work my double crochets over the chain 3, over the green yarn, and over the tail of the white. And on this final double crochet, I'm going to take the tail of the white and loop it up over the working yarn and finish the double crochet. Then I'm going to let that hang out over here for a minute. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do the slip stitch and encase that green in the slip stitch. And then I'm going to let it fall over to the side out of the way. You do not want to accidentally work over that yarn. You will have to rip out. So if it might be a problem for you, you can get your trusty stitch marker, any kind, and clip it over out of the way, or pin it out of the way, whatever you want to do, just to get it so it's not in the way. And I'm doing it mainly so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, here's my working yarn, white. This is my tail of the white, and I'm going to bring that tail over the chain 3 and do my 3 chains and work right over the white again. Whoops, and I forgot to do it again. Okay, here on the last part of that final double crochet, I'm going to lift that up and over and finish the double crochet. And now I'm going to just simply let it hang, and depending on how trusting you are, you can clip it at this point, or at the end, or what I like to do is separate it in 2, and then I would work part of it under here and part of it coming back down and going back and forth under those stitches. My stuff does not come out. It's a bear if you make a mistake. That's why I won't weave it in now. Because if I make a mistake and have to come back, it's not fun. So just like on the other rows that I showed in the other video, When you get up to the peak, you make your first block and 1 extra double crochet. I chain 3 and I need more yarn. And my ball's rolling around. There we go. I chained up 3 and I will make my next block. And I am going to continue down to the edge here and then come back, and when I get to here where the green is coming out, I'm going to put a stitch marker here to remind myself that I need to do something when I get to this point. So I will turn the video off and come back. So I have worked my way all the way over to the edge, finishing row 1 of the white, and I've taken row 2 up and over, and I am at the stitch marker. So I have the green there, and I need to do something with it. And this is what you do with the yarn that you are carrying. You come up and you do your slip stitch, bring the carried yarn up and do your first chain. 1, 2, and 3. And then you work right over the green. We're at the outside edge, so again we're going to flip it over, go into the top chain of the chain 3, pull your loop through, slip stitch yourself into position, now I'm in position. Here's my white that I'm not going to use because I'm going to switch to the green. I just simply pull the white over the chain 3. I bring the green, and here it helps to move the balls around. I find it irritating when one yarn is messing with the tension on the other yarn. So I want the white over this way. Trying to make it so you can see. And I'm going to take the green and bring it over. And you can try the yarn over, but what I find works the best and easiest for me is to just simply do a yarn under and pull it up and through. And then I can bring that white just the right amount. Chain 3. And now I am going to work over the white that I'm no longer using, over the chain and over that green, covering all of it up. Oops. And you can, I suggest you don't pull on the white, but you can move your DC stitches into position so they look better. And here again, we're going to do just what we did on the other one. We're going to take the white and bring it up and make our slip stitch. It will encase the white, and if you're wondering, here's that green back here. See how noticeable that is? There's the back. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so at this point, you would drop the white. If it helps, you can clip it out of the way. You make one more block. And then put your stitch marker in to remind yourself when you come back that you've got to deal with the white. Okay, now, a couple of things. If it hasn't occurred to you yet, you're stuck. You can't do this with like 3 rows of white or 3 rows of green or whatever colors. Because if I had done another thing of white, I would have ended up over here and the green would have been over here, and it doesn't work. So, I have figured out that you can do an even number. Now, I have not figured out how to do it with 6, but I will show how to do it with 4. So, I have introduced my white, and I have decided ahead of time that I want to do 4 rows of white instead of 3, or 2. Excuse me, you can't do 3? Okay, so I'm doing the same thing that I did here, bringing up the green. Now I'm going to bring the green over one more. And I'm doing the exact same thing with the white still that I did on, that's not different. 1, 2, 3. Whoops, that's my tail. Where's my working yarn? There we go. There. Tail over. Working yarn. Tail. Working green that we're not using. All of it gets put over the chain 3. I do my chain. I work over all of that. And again, I bring up my white. And then I'm going to leave it to weave in later. Okay, I will bring up the green, and now I leave that, and I'm going to deal with it when I come back. Now if you were making a wider thing, like a blanket, or with different, with 2 colors like this, you could keep going, and I think we're at our limit of how far up we can carry this green, because this is so narrow. We're already at the peak, and we have to put in our stitch marker to remind us what we have to do when we come back. So I will get off and finish row 1 and come back and show you what to do on row 2 with the green. So I have introduced my white, and I have decided ahead of time that I want to do 4 rows of white instead of 3, or 2. Excuse me, you can't do 3? Okay, so I'm doing the same thing that I did here, bringing up the green. Now I'm going to bring the green over one more. And I'm doing the exact same thing with the white still that I did on, that's not different. 1, 2, 3. Whoops, that's my tail. Where's my working yarn? There we go. There. Tail, working yarn, tail, working green that we're not using. All of it gets put over the chain 3. I do my chain. I work over all of that. And again, I bring up my white. And then I'm going to leave it to weave in later. Okay, I will bring up the green. And now I leave that, and I'm going to deal with it when I come back. Now, if you were making a wider thing, like a, a blanket, or with different, with 2 colors like this, you could keep going, and I think we're at our limit of how far up we can carry this green, because this is so narrow. We're already at the peak, and we have to put in our stitch marker to remind us what we have to do when we come back. So I will get off and finish row 1 and come back and show you what to do on row 2 with the green. So I have completed row 1 of the white, and I've come back with row 2, and I'm at the stitch marker. And basically, when you are on an even row, I think this follows through, all you do is carry the yarn up where it already is. Okay? Bring it up, encase it in the first chain, 2, 3, and then crochet over it, and that covers it up. And again, you can kind of pull them into, and you don't want to tug on it too much. You can make it so it's even in there, but you don't want to pull this down here. Okay? So you go on, and finish row 2. And row 3 is when you bring it back over. I'll show you how to do that. Here we go. 3, bring it into position, and for this, you usually, on the odd number of rows, you would not probably need to do a stitch marker because it's hanging out on this side already, unless you flipped it over. Okay, so this is what you do. You're going to bring it back over and put it in position, so it'll basically be in the same position that it was when after we did row 1. it'll be back here. See, in the same position. We brought it over, and we brought it up. Well, now we're bringing it back over. So it'll be in position for after we've done row 4. And I'm going to put my marker in, and I'll come back and show you that it really is the same as when you did only 2 rows. So I have completed row 3 of the white, and I've come around with row 4, and I'm at the stitch marker. So we will take that out. We will join with our slip stitch, and we will do what I said we do on all of the even number rows. We just carry the other color up and encase it in the first chain stitch. 2 and 3, work over the chain 3 and the yarn that's carried up. And I will caution you that if you're one that tends to yank on your yarn, it's not a good thing to do with this this tail that's being carried up. Okay, so I'm at the end of row 4. I'm going to join into the top chain, do my slip stitches to get into position, and show you that it's exactly the same as when we were doing it with just 2 rows. I've got the green in the right position now. I go into here, bring the white over, catch the green yarn and pull it up and through, and here I adjust that so I don't feel like I have to tug on this at all later. And then I do my 3 chains and my 3 double crochets right over all of that, and then I just bring the white up, catch it in the chain or the slip stitch, and then let it fall, or clip it over out of the way, whatever. The only thing you can mess with is the placement of the double crochets there. You can bring those into position so they cover it properly. But do not be yanking on this and pulling this to make it so it's wrong. Just the loose tension of it just hanging out there really does seem to be enough. And if you look, here's the green here. The green under there, there. It's going back up there. So it's really not very noticeable. And you can work it easily with 2 colors. I have another video to show how to do it with 3 colors, but it's only doing 2 rows of each color. I have not worked out how to possibly try to do it with 4 rows of each color.